delayed Big Mecha.
And now it's time for another edition of Big Mecha! But not huge. With me today, I do have my very good friend, Wilhelm. Say hello, Wilhelm. You know you want to. Say it, say it, say it.
Hello.
Damn right, hello. Will, it's been a good run. I think it's time that we put this podcast to rest. Just
All
kidding.
right. All right. What? Don't tease me.
Well, sir, I know you've been teasing me all fucking week. I know we're already cursing right off to the bat, so I'm not
That was
censoring
fast.
that, but
Well, that was quick.
you've been edging me all week with what you've been watching, sir. Tell me,
Hmm.
what have you been doing mecha related?
Well, so we went to see Transformers 1. Um, and then after that, well, not even after that, we've been watching Medabots, and you've been just randomly dropping sound bites for dinosaurs and mentioning Beast Wars, which is your favorite. And you did it enough times that my brain went, we should watch those again. So I put dinosaurs on in the background while I did other stuff because I like objectively not the greatest television Saturday morning cartoon shows. I'm okay with those. I find them fun the first time around generally. And then after that, I'll go back if I want them as a background thing. I can't necessarily focus super hard on them because I already know what's going to happen. And they
Mhm.
are very formulaic, very simple. They are fun, but like if I'm just gonna have them going and going and like marathoning them, then I can't focus hard because they're a little boring sometimes. So I've
Well,
had that
dinosaurs
running.
can definitely be that way because
Oh yeah,
considering how
100%.
kid friendly that is.
Oh,
But I'm sure
heavily.
Beast Wars, I'm sure you have a different opinion
Oh,
on.
absolutely not. No, no, no. We are talking specifically about dinosaurs. When I say
Okay.
that, that is dinosaur spelled exactly like dinosaur, but with a Z instead of an S because
How
the
dare
year
Fox Kids have a
2000.
speech impediment?
And that show is very much that. I was able to watch slash listen to every episode except the last like one to two. Those ones were a little harder to follow because it was a lot more, believe it or not, showing, not telling. So I was actually genuinely having trouble figuring out what was going on because I'm like, all right, I'm just getting sound effects and people reacting, and I have no idea what's happening. So I have to actually go watch those, like legitimately watch those two to be like, okay, okay. But that's been fun. I think that one's on like a several year timer in my brain, where every couple of years my brain just goes, "Not them dinosaurs though," and it's like, all right,
It
and I
it
just put it
starts
on the
off
background.
with the intro song, doesn't it? Though, like as soon as you hear that, it's like, huh,
It's such a dumb opening. I
it's
love
that
it.
time because it's literally just a cascading view of all the different
Hmm.
bot warriors, and just go wham bam, it's a Dino Jam,
It's
it's the
that
dinosaurs.
era of stupid, like we're gonna rewrite the opening, but make it really, really like this is the show, and then we're gonna try to make it super cheesy, but like cheesy cool, which is just comes all the way back around and is cheesy again. So it's
Oh yeah,
that sort of thing. And it's also got a horribly ham-fisted save the earth and environmentalist message, just
really
terribly executed. Yeah, the entire thrust of that show's like big message, if you want to call it that, the big artistic message is
big
save
message. Sorry,
it's Captain Planet, save the Earth essentially. But
uh,
it does it
turn everybody into a
worse
fucking
than
tree.
Captain Planet. Because Captain Planet, at least like the bad guys were literally the things that are pollution. And if nothing else, you're aiming at kids. So by doing that, you demonize the symptoms of pollution. And yeah, sure, the bad guys are stupid and no one actually like actively pollutes to make money. It's not how money works. It's but the point is you get across to kids pollution bad, and honestly, that's pretty good. It's like a storybook version, it works. This
Hmm.
show is just every couple of episodes they'll be like, that's right, and the Earth gives us I am basically quoting one of the characters when I say the Earth speaks to us when humans pollute and like an area or an ecosystem starts to like die, that's the Earth speaking to us. And I'm like, that is a really flowery way to word that and terrible. And then like 5 seconds later, they go back to punching the aliens in the face, and it's like also kind of undercuts your message when you're like, the Earth must be taken care of, and it's like, okay, but the entire thread of this show is literally aliens trying to drain the planet. It's basically Galactus type thing. Aliens want to eat the planet, eat all the life force. So humans aren't actually the problem. You just keep saying they're the problem, and then the entire 90 something percent rest of the show is, but the aliens are the real problem because they can kill the planet in like 5 minutes if you really let them have at it. So it's like
Yeah, but
that
pollution.
yeah, but like pollution, take care of animals, care about the planet. I'm like, that's not how you do an environmental message. That doesn't make any sense. And it almost feels like it's a dubism, but I don't know if it is. It might
So you think the
legitimately be
pollution is,
there.
or the pollution message is the dubism?
I think the random moments where it just decides to lean into environmentalism is not necessarily a dubism, but maybe a choice they made. Because it feels like the show is meant to, when you look at the basic building blocks, it feels like it's meant to be the dinosaurs themselves are dinosaurs that were granted the power, quote unquote, by the ancients, which is all they ever call them. They never tell you a damn thing past that. You can kind of extrapolate a few things, though. The Earth is filled with life force, a la Final Fantasy VII, the life stream. It's the idea that the entire planet has a giant life force that's all one thing. We are one, the planet is one, it's all together. When things
Cloud
die,
Strike
they
shows up.
return. Hmm?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to say that when things die, they return to it. Everything is filled with life force. That's what keeps the planet going. All plants, all animals. The dinosaurs repeatedly say they are tasked to protect the planet and all of the humans and animals on it. They are meant to protect the world, and that includes us and everything else that's alive on it because that's what they're protecting, the planet. I don't know who the hell the ancients are, but they were able to like harness this spirit energy and essentially grant sentience to the dinosaurs and then also allow them to basically be immortal. As long as they have life energy, they can re-energize themselves into their giant robot forms essentially, and they can defend the planet against the alien things called dragosaurs. And
Dragosaurs?
yes, like dragon, dinosaur, and yeah, they can defend themselves against. They can defend the planet against them because they're basically space locusts, and they just want to eat all the life force and then move on to a new world. And the dinosaurs, the Dino Knights, if you will, because they use that's what they are. They defend the planet and everything on it from the Dragosaurs, from any outside threat, technically. Right now it's the Dragosaurs, but technically it's anything there. They've literally been doing it for millions of years. They became fossils because they died, but they're not dead. They are bonded to those forms like a lich. They're bonded to their fossils, and they can revive themselves using the life force of the planet and stuff like that. They can tap into it and bring themselves back. It drains them to do that. It drains them to fight, but that's the idea. And that idea of the universal spirit almost of like an entire planet spirit kind of works. And that makes sense. The random moments where they start talking about human impact on the environment doesn't really work because it's literally just words. And then they go back to what they're really doing. And it just feels like it doesn't line up. Like we
Have
all
you
know
checked to
what
see if
Captain Planet was
there's
doing.
Have you checked to see if there's any kind of Japanese version available online to watch?
I have not. I don't even know what the Japanese version of the show would be called. I assume it wasn't Dinosaurs, because that feels very American. I could be wrong though. Sometimes it is just that. I have
Yeah, we
not
can look
looked.
it up later.
Yeah, I am genuinely curious because that's one of those where it's like everything else kind of feels pretty much part like it's also a really goofy show. The bad guys is clearly aimed at like young kids. We're talking elementary school, maybe middle school. It's a vehicle for toys. It's aimed at kids. It's not meant to have there are no giant aspirations for like, Oscar worthy performances and shit. It's not what they were going
Hmm.
for. But
Well, don't forget there was also wonderful shows out there back in during the early dub days, like Flint the Time Detective and the Moncauley Nights that we
Color
never
Nights is
saw
weird.
past, like, the first season, or like the first few weeks of it supposed
Yeah.
to be airing, and then they're just gone.
It also looks like they've kind of stopped printing Mancali Nights again. Granted, you had to buy it twice because they split the Japanese and American dub into two separate releases in America.
Kind of like what they did with Medabots,
You have to buy it
which I
twice.
promise we will get to tonight.
Yep. Oh, the other small indie show that I was watching is called Beast Wars.
Oh,
I'm
Beast
on
Wars,
I'm
brought to
on
you by
like
Hasbro, right?
Oh yeah, another toy related genre. Um,
Interesting. Go on.
I got up to what am I on, like 15, 16 in that show, I think. That one I am
That's pretty
100% paying
significant.
attention to and watching. I am legitimately watching each episode, paying attention to it. I like that show a lot. It's really good. There's a lot
Hell
in
yeah.
it that I take out when it comes to things like personal identity, ideology. Um, what makes that show leans really hard into the idea of what makes essentially a being. At its base level, they define it as like we're Transformers, we have a spark, the spark makes us unique and keeps us alive. And then from there, it is entirely the Wild West. Just they have experiences, they can be programmed and coded, they can then they can make choices beyond the coding. That it's just it is the most human written that I've seen Transformers be written. Most of the shows don't go this hard into that. They lean much more heavily into the traditional one side the other, and then they act like people, but they act like sides in war.
It almost seems like they say, "Hey, we know this is a kids show, but
hmm
we don't view kids as being dumb."
Yeah, kind of like Animorphs, which I did not realize because I didn't read a lot of it when I was a kid, but apparently the people who wrote Animorphs, heavy, heavy anti-war sentiment, and the Animorphs books as they went on became essentially more and more harsh and dark because they involve a galactic war, and they took the 100% real approach to show that war is bad to children. And apparently, it is incredibly well liked because of that by people as they got older. They were like, damn, that was really good. And the husband wife team who wrote Animorphs, that is fully a thing they believe in and why they wrote it that way. Kind of like how Toriyama wrote a ton of stories about child soldiers that were all terrible because he really doesn't like war.
Yet we also have like tons of Gundam series about child soldiers that continue on.
Most of those aren't written by him, too, so
Yeah.
he's only written like
uh,
three.
but at least with Beast Wars, are you planning on continuing it?
Oh, 100% I'm going to finish. I'm at 15, 16, and it's like 53 just for Beast Wars. Then I'm going to follow it up with Beast Machines, giving that a second shot and just acknowledging that
Through
it is
through
going to
my
be,
through my pressure.
well, part of it's that, and then part of it is I'm a different person than I was when I first watched that show, like almost a decade ago at this, probably actually, yeah, about 10 years or so at this point, the first time I watched Beast Machines. And I feel like one, I'm more open to what it might have to say, and two, I'm a lot less mad that clearly you had one set of writers for this entire show, and then you fucking Batman the Animated Series my ass, and it's like, well, Jesus Christ, I got whiplash from that
Yeah,
because that
it
show
took
did it
COVID for
too.
me to like it.
It takes a second, but I'm sure it's there, and I'm open to it. Like they keep, voice actors are the same, animation is technically the same because I think it's still mainframe, um, and all of that is still there. It's just the writing team is literally different people, so it's a completely different show. And they took the end of Beast Wars as a bookend and just basically walked into another room. They're like, cool. So that was this
Yeah,
room. Here's this one, and you're like, that is nothing like what I was just watching. Oh God.
it borrows
Oh.
very little from Beast Wars in
Mhm.
order to make it a completely different story.
I almost feel like they
And
should have just treated the end of Beast Wars as Beast Wars, called this something else, and just treated it as a new show.
I agree.
Oh,
I still agree because there are some definitely grievous issues with beast machines. We tell you what, when you actually get into beast machines, I may watch that with you, and we can do a special on that,
it is shorter.
where we just talk about beast machines
Yeah.
on its
In
own.
general, once I
Um,
finish, I'll tell you when I start it, and we can just kind of watch in our own time and then do a special in like a month or something. A month
yeah,
after I start watching, not
and
necessarily a month from now.
right, and I will say there's maybe about one or two things that I actively dislike about the show.
Hmm.
I came around on a lot with that particular show. It might have been due to the COVID fugue state that I was
I
in,
mean, it did it to a lot of
but
people.
but honestly, I really enjoyed the final experience that I had with it. So I have a feeling that considering that you and I have definitely grown in completely different directions at this point, that you might actually enjoy it this
Yeah,
time.
I think I will, given some of the major themes. I do remember that they're like sitting in the back of my head, like that was a pretty major theme. That's kind of what they were going for. I can see that. Knowing that and how I've grown as a person and things I've learned, I feel like I would get more out of the show. I also, I can tell when my brain really enjoys what's being at least shown to me because, like, for example, dinosaurs is just there. Beast Wars, my brain, I mean, I was texting you all these random ideas that I'm having and like impressions I'm getting from the show, and you're like, that is not at all what I took from that episode.
No, because honestly, like with Beast Wars, a lot of it was very surface level
Hmm.
for me because like I took it as it was. It was an action show that had, some sub level themes
Hmm.
for me, but it was just very well written for what it was. And then you just took it out of the park with me for some of the things that I was not expecting. I'm like, holy fuck. So,
Yeah.
but you know what? Maybe we can do a special on Beast Wars as well, where we can actually go ahead and do like a full deep dive on that. Maybe we just do like a special on each season, or if you're up for it, maybe do like a full thing on it, episode or 3 episodes each, like we're
We
doing with
could.
Medabots. Depends on how
It
you
will
feel.
take a while because, like I said, Beast Wars alone, 53 episodes. It's as chunky as Medabots is going to be. It's a lot.
Will I finished that in 3 days? Come on.
Yeah, yeah, but it's 3 episodes at a time, sir.
Yeah, but if you binged like I did,
I mean, some of us have
I think
jobs, but jeez.
I think after I finished the first
Hmm.
season, I did both seasons 2 and 3 in a day.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, COVID was
Yeah,
a hell of a thing.
let's be honest. During COVID, I managed to start and finish Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was like 70 or 80 hours on its own. I I think I finished Pokemon. At that time was like Sword and Shield or whatever. It just that was a lot that happened. COVID was a lot of free time. Pretty
Yeah, it
much all gone
was.
now, but yeah, yeah.
um, but I'm glad to hear that you've been
Oh
enjoying
yeah,
that again.
yeah.
In the meantime, I have been doing a lot of collecting,
Hmm.
and some of the stuff is actually stuff that I've mentioned before, but I want to actually show you some stuff. And today we're actually going to be doing a little bit of show and tell. So we're going to be doing something a little bit different this time
Huh.
around. I actually plan on showing you via video. So guess what? Surprise, bitch! It's me.
Wow, face reveal. You're not even
Yeah, that's
building
right.
up to it. How are you gonna get
Yeah,
any viewers
yeah,
off of
yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah,
Ah,
yeah. So the first thing that I want to show you, I've already posted a picture of it before,
hmm?
but it's the Transformers and Terminator
You read
comic.
it?
Look at this glorious bit. I
Hmm.
have. It is magnificent. Look at that. I mean, I know the light is glaring off of it, but maybe if I tone that down a little bit. I don't like that. All right, but anyways, yeah, it's got some really glorious pages in here. I mean, just I don't know what I'm going to, but look at that. It's nice and shiny. It's really well written. It's very
Oh,
corny.
100%. It's based off of an 80s future dystopia robot thing. Uh,
Exactly. Now, if you also remember, one of the other things that I mentioned before is a really shitty book trilogy.
hmm. Yeah, you mentioned that. You said it. Well, you said it wasn't good. You really kind of implied, "Don't look this up."
Yeah, yeah, but guess what? Um, a long time ago, for some reason, I ended up missing out book two. I might have gotten lost in translation, or not translation. It got lost in transition from moving from house to house or whatever. So now I have book two again.
Hmm.
So I actually officially own the trilogy again.
Are you going to
So
reread them,
here's
sir?
I am.
Hmm.
In fact, I'm going to read you an excerpt from the very first page
Oh
of
boy.
this one, and I'm going to show you why this one is fucked up. So this one is called Hardwired. It's just part of the trilogy. I don't know what the actual trilogy is
Really?
called, but this one is written by Scott Cienza.
Okay.
The second one, it's got a picture of Megatron on it. This one is called
Oh, is that new
Annihilation.
printing?
It's a pretty. No, it
Oh,
just
okay.
looks newer. It's very
Hmm.
glossy. And then the last one, this is the one I still owned, Fusion. Very cool
I like
cover
the
here.
cover art.
Very cool. Yeah, the cover art's cool. So, remember how I said that this is reminiscent of Battle World from the Marvel
Right.
comics? So, here is an excerpt from the very first page, which is pulled from later on in the book.
Hmm.
I'm going to try to do a voice here. Why do you hesitate? The judge demanded. The victory is yours. Make the kill. I will not, said Prime confidently. To kill in wartime was one thing. To take life when it was the only way to stop an enemy, that he could accept. Find your amusement elsewhere. As you wish. Suddenly, one of the human spectators cried out in alarm as invincible pincers yanked her high into the air, holding her tight by her midsection. Wait! She screamed. No! I have a family! Don't! The pincher snapped shut with a sharp hiss, spewing gore and a rain of blood over the heads of the crowd. The two halves of the still twitching corpse tumbled to the ground, and terrified people darted like animals to avoid them. All of them next, the judge said wistfully. Your choice. Shit's fucked
You know what
up,
that
Bill.
reminds me of? Voltron.
Hmm.
That
Right?
legitimately reminds me of
Like
the
original
like really
Voltron,
yeah
right?
the really fucking messed up oh lord
Go Lion.
well, not just Go Lion, but even in the incredibly sanitized Voltron show, there was still violence that they just sort of left in, and I think tried to like cut away quickly from. But on the planet
Mm-hmm.
that the bad guys, I am blanking on all the words from that show right now.
It's
On
all
the
right. I don't
planet
remember
that
either.
the bad aliens run, where they have those giant creatures fight each other, and then they send them to go kill Voltron in a coffin, which is metal as fuck. Uh, they make those things fight to the death in a gladiatorial arena, and it functions basically like Roman Colosseum slash Primal Rage. Like at certain points, I remember they started killing like members of the audience or like people who were thrown in who were slaves because that race
Oh
also
my
had slaves.
god.
So like they would just throw them in too, and they would get annihilated, a la the Romans when slaves would get eaten by lions and killed in giant battle reenactments and stuff. So that type of thing. I remember being quite graphic and being like, oh, ooh.
Now, mind you, that first book is the only one
Oh,
like that. The other two books are not gory at all because they're completely written by another
ah.
author, or I'm assuming the same author under a pseudonym. Um, but yeah, none of them like continue that level of
So it
savagery or
sets a really
viciousness. It's
heavy,
not gory at
dark,
all.
like R-rated tone, and then you get through the first book and it just turns its knob down to like PG. And you're like, is this the same thing?
Yep,
I feel like I'm watching Deadpool, and halfway through, I flipped over to a totally different movie.
I read those in high
Yeah,
school, dude.
that tracks.
I can't. Yeah. So next thing, I bought this a while
Mm.
ago. This is a third-party transformer.
Mm.
So this is basically from the Bumblebee
Oh,
movie. It's a triple
oh,
changer.
starts off as a
So you see, it
Harrier.
goes from jet,
Nice.
to
Yep.
robot,
Ooh,
to
old
Roadster.
school like muscle car roadster. Nice. With like a
Mm-hmm.
massive roll. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like a Mad Maxy
So
looking one.
this one's called the, as they call it, the G05 Red Fantasy, but it's based off of one of the Decepticon villains from
Nice.
Bumblebee, which you will note when you finally watch
Oh
Bumblebee.
yeah, that yeah.
Um,
Like four Transformers movies behind. Ugh. Fake
don't
fake
worry,
fan.
we'll get
Fake
there.
fan.
So the next thing, because I got two things left. Um, this I ended up getting when I was on
Hmm?
vacation. I completely forgot the name of it because I just thought it looked cool and it transforms. It is called the Gundam Eclipse.
Hmm. Which series is that from?
So I think it's from Double
It says it in
O.
the corner sometimes.
Nope, Gundam Seed.
Okay.
I was wrong. I think it might be from the new Gundam Seed movie.
Yeah, Gundam Seed keeps having stuff done to it. I'm getting a little lost.
Yeah, I know. So if you can see here, it has a really cool
Nice.
transformation. It goes to a
That's
jet
cool.
mode. That's the only reason I got it, because it went to
Nice.
jet mode.
I mean, that's worked on. You got your Zeta Gundams, your Wing Gundams, your Wing Zeros, your Epions.
Damn right. And then the last thing, now, you know how we've had our long discussion about um, third party
Oh, those are
Transformers
always fun.
and
Yeah, you're
Volcanicus.
gonna legitimately
Uh,
collect a like 3 foot tall robot.
so, backing up here because of how big
Yeah,
this thing
it's
is.
goofy. Like a foot tall.
This one is called. Uh, which one is this one? Hang on. They call this one Stegsero.
Okay.
Stegsero is the third party version. You can't really tell from there, but he looks badass. He is the third party Stegosaurus that you find in the
Hmm.
Dinobots. This thing is massive. Like,
Not
legit
even the
massive.
biggest one.
And it's heavy as
Because
hell.
technically, size-wise,
No.
he's like mid-range. He's gonna be smaller than Grimlock whenever they make him. Which,
Yeah.
oh God.
And it looks like this. It looks like the second one is definitely coming out soon. The second one is going to be the
Nice.
pterodactyl. I cannot wait to see what that one's going to be like. But man, I haven't opened it yet because it's just like I want to wait until I get the chance to actually like play with them all and then like cut off my
Oh, yeah.
fingers and then build them all like
I
giant
have seen how
mechanics.
sharp those are. Multiple videos of people touching it and being very surprised at how pointy it is.
Oh yeah. So that is my little bit of show and tell. I basically just wanted to show you a bunch of different stuff that I've
Hmm.
been collecting, primarily the books because I've mentioned
Yep.
them before about how shitty they
Uh,
are, and mainly because I just want to say, you know what, as shitty as they can be, gotta love them.
oh boy.
It was also better. I paid $16 for that second book when originally it came out for seven
Yeah,
bucks.
mass market.
So $16 better than paying $60 for a hardcover of all three
Hmm.
together, which kind of would have been cool, but I only needed that
Yeah.
one book. So yeah, that's all that we got on that. So I'm turning the camera off now. So uh, if anybody's just listening to the podcast rather than watching it, you're missing out there. But I hope I at least detailed that a little bit here. In the meantime, I think it's time for us to actually talk about Medabots. What do you say?
Yeah, I guess we can work ourselves around to the entire reason we're here. Yeah, that sounds good.
The entire reason, man. I wish the entire reason was better.
These are not the best 3 episodes for several reasons. We'll just get. I mean, if you're okay with it, kind of let them in on the secret. These 3 episodes are part of a multi-part storyline, and they are not done.
Correct. Jumping a little bit ahead here, the last episode, episode 24, it ends up in a cliffhanger because there's still more story to
Hmm.
tell. despite not telling much of a story to begin
I
with.
so we've been talking a lot about episode order and how different it is, and it's pretty apparent that the reason these episodes are where they are, number-wise in America, is because they wanted to make a quote unquote either mid-season break or what they wanted was a storyline like break in the middle. They wanted it to build and stop, come down, and then build to the end again. They wanted two peaks. When in the original show, it probably only peaked once in the story, which is why they had to do it like this.
That makes sense. And like, if I go to Google right now, I can look up because I saw something interesting where it said, um, hang on, because I'm actually gonna go ahead and do it now, just because I'm gonna talk out of my ass if I don't. If I look up where it says Medabots Season 1, I don't know if it actually means where it's supposed to be, but it says I Dream of Hushi was episode 16, right?
Hmm.
So, now if I remember, I Dream of Hushi wasn't supposed to be until much
Yeah.
later. Let me see here. Let's see. I Dream of Hushi. Uh, okay, so I Dream of Hushi was supposed to be episode 15, but according to Google, it's episode 16. But for us, we got it as episode. All right, I'm talking out of turn
Aha.
again. Original production order was 23, but the English dub was number
That
15.
is a lot of
And then
episodes.
we got Metabee versus Rakusho as number 16.
Hmm.
So that's how they ended up doing that whole season breakdown. Which I guess maybe if they did that air date where you had your little your little peak
Hmm.
point there, which would have been I Dream of Hushi. I get why they did that there, but everything else beyond that does not make
Yeah.
sense. But that being said, I didn't outright hate these episodes like I did the
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah, that's good.
Because the last time I was furious. I was so mad.
You were not happy. I took it much better than you did. I have not gotten mad at the show yet. I get frustrated that I don't understand, but that's me not understanding and having questions that in no way can we answer. And you just it made you mad.
It was
Hmm.
infuriating. That's the
Yep.
best way that I could say it. So let's. I think we might as well just do a run around of 22 through 24 altogether. Um, so it starts off with 22, where it picks up after
Hmm.
the last one, where the Rubber Robo Gang ended up taking away Icky's mom, and now he has to deal with the
Hmm.
consequences of that. And it's basically him trying to get his mom back from the Rubber Robo Gang. That is the entire crux of
Yep.
the
Whole
episode.
thing. Which this one, if I remember right, is the one where his mom gets kidnapped. You get a bunch of background lines, one of which struck me as kind of impressive. Koji tries to convince Icky to focus on the championship tournament, and Icky looks at him like, "Dude, my mom's been kidnapped. What are you talking about?" And Koji's,
But then he does.
"Yeah, it's real weird. He pushes back against it like twice, and then kind of rolls with it after that." And I'm like, so I don't. It's very odd because he pushes.
Kids are impressionable.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah. I
just
mean, they
leave
are
it at
young.
that.
But he runs off to be the hero. The I think his mom gets out of the ropes like almost immediately after the Robo Robos walk out of the room. The main crew that we follow, she just like gets out.
Do you remember why? It's very funny. I will
Oh
say
yeah,
this episode had a lot of gags that
I
actually stuck
like
with me.
that his mom
Um,
basically teaches them how to take care of themselves. She's a mom to the Rubber Robos.
yes, she feeds them. She
Mm-hmm.
sews their clothes back together because they
Yep.
have holes in them. She literally sews them back with love, like
Yep.
with
They get little
hearts on them.
patches.
And Instead of Metabee saying "oh shit," I mean not "oh shit," instead of Metabee saying "yeah, oh
Oh
shit,
shit,
Icky."
Icky fucking killed that guy. God damn. Wow, this show got really, really adult. Whoa.
Can you imagine, like, Icky, let's get the hell
Icky,
out of here.
fuck that guy.
Uh,
Jesus.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna get metaphysical. Fuck
I'm gonna
you.
get
Okay.
meta. Shut your
No.
meta bitch ass up. Ugh.
Instead of saying metaphysical, he actually says, "I'm gonna get
Oh
meta
yeah, he
busy,"
does.
and I'm like, you know what? I will take that
Uh,
one because it wasn't metaphysical, and I was super happy about that. And then he ruined it in the next episode by saying, "Dude,
yep.
I rock."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. You.
motherfucker,
I
don't.
need you to let go
Mm.
of that because I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Every time he uses that move, they're gonna play the clip and the soundbite.
I can't let
You.
go of it. Every
Oh,
time he does it,
you're
I'm gonna get
gonna
mad. I'm gonna
gonna
get
want to
mad.
keep some aspirin.
I'm gonna get really mad
Gonna
next episode too
Oh,
for
you're gonna want
something
to keep some
else.
aspirin to
Oh
the
my
side for
god.
some of the later episodes because I think he just uses it more. Uh,
God damn it. Um, so he's busy going through like this trial basically in order to try and save his mom from the Robo Gang, even though she's basically still
hmm
feeding them, and like she's not really kidnapped at this point or abducted.
there.
She's just there, and they want to
Oh,
keep her at this point because they realize that they have the best soup ever
they.
made, and they
I
will never
love
get it
that
if they
their
let her go.
motivation goes from boss said kidnap this lady to we can never let her leave. She is too good. We have to keep her
Right,
for the food. She
right.
cares about us. She treats us right. She teaches us how to do things. We need to. You can tell that they are an organization that has clearly fed on people who didn't have like solid home lives and stuff, and it's like as soon as somebody shows them warmth, love, and like cares about them, they immediately will follow that person and do whatever they say.
Now, what was interesting, there was another thing in there. I don't remember if
Hmm?
it's this episode or the next. No, no, never mind. It's the
Okay.
third episode. We'll get to that later. Um, they make a lot of jokes about the soup. Somebody said, uh, "Vegetable soup always gives me gas."
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, one of the earlier quotes that I thought was really funny is, "The Rubber Robo Gang took." Oh, it was Meta. He goes like, "The Rubber Robo took your mother and ate our dinner."
that's so dumb.
And then Icky goes like, "Mom needs me. If I don't get her home before bedtime, she won't have anyone to tuck in." Like, good lord.
The writing in this episode is priceless. This show, I there's no way
It's
that's what was written in the originals because those are, for one thing, that's an American idiom. So
yeah.
oh boy.
And then I realized that the basically what was it? Um Icky, when he goes up against the other Metabots kind of look like Mega Man
Okay,
villains.
so with the other things, well, a few things. One, I like Gil Girl's outfit. She actually looks cool.
She also looked like a Mega
She
Man
did.
villain. She looked like a
Yeah,
human
like a human Mega Villain.
Mega Man
Oh,
villain.
I
It was
also,
weird.
when they're fighting, I got what they were going for, where they turned the dragon and the tiger looking one against each other. It's a dragon and tiger don't get along, like Chinese zodiac joke. Yeah,
Mm.
that's a thing. The year of the dragon, year of the tiger. It's like a not superstition. It's just like a oil and water saying in America kind of thing. It's that idea that these
Mm-hmm.
two aren't going to get along with each other, and then somebody goes, "Oh, well, that one's tiger, that one's dragon," and they're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, that's why." And I think that whole thing goes back to a myth or like a story involving a dragon and a tiger like facing each other, but I would have to look
Mm-hmm.
more into it to give you like the real breakdown. The point is, the dragon and the tiger not liking each other, I think is supposed to be a joke. I think that's on purpose.
I wrote down that they won by
Yep.
emotional compromise.
Oh, also, did you catch the name of Icky's father? He has a name.
He does. I also thought there were some interesting things about Icky's dad, and I
Oh,
was wrong.
100%.
I was
Hmm.
very wrong. I was I was disappointed, and then I was very angry that I was
Okay,
wrong.
what were you wrong about that made you mad?
Uh, in the next
Okay.
episode, we'll get there. Um, but it was interesting knowing that he was basically he got the call that his
Mm-hmm.
wife was kidnapped, and he went to go save her, and he's all the way in the
Yep.
Himalayas, and he started to come back by
So
elephant.
I wrote that down. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a silly, dumb comedy show. He's gonna make it. It's just they're being silly about it. The idea that he has to ride an elephant to get over the mountain range to get home, and it's like, that's really stupid. He could just get on a plane. But then I had a moment where I'm like,
Yeah,
although if he told his job, I have to get home now, and they were like, we don't really have it in the budget for you to fly home. And he's like, fine, I'll figure out my own way. So he had to legitimately just go find anything. And he's like, well, I guess I'm taking an elephant. So,
let
yeah,
me
he's
steal
just like,
this
well, I'm
elephant.
taking an elephant because that's all I got. That's all I can get because this company is cheap because they show Icky's dad and he's not dressed super nicely. So he's not like really high up in the company. And he looks very much like middle class at most. Like they have a house, his wife stays at home, takes care of the kid, but they're not like super wealthy or anything. So he's not, a CEO or
Right.
like anywhere near the C level of business associates. So,
Speaking of business associates, so we ended up having Icky go against two other. He ended up going
hmm
against three
yep.
opponents this time around. He ended up going against
hmm
Gill Girl, who what was her full name? It was
I
Gilda
oh yeah, it
something or
was it
other.
was something stupid meant to play off of it.
Gilda
Yeah,
Girlfoil, I
it
think it was.
AKA oh, that's why they call her Gill Girl. Like that's literally a play on her real name.
Yeah, which it's the same thing with like Shrimpy Limpowitz with Shrimp
Yeah,
Lips. And then I forgot what the other guy's name was, but then when I heard it, I'm like, these are very mafia
they
like
are,
sounding
but they're all
names.
fish.
That's true.
I don't
That is
remember
very
his real
true.
name, but I'm still gonna call
Um,
him Mr. Tuna Head because I'm pulling for that couple. Mr. Tuna Head.
um, so Icky and Metabee they end up going
hmm
against all these other, and they're basically trial by fire, where they're just going against one after another. All this
hmm
endurance match, and he's about ready to go against Mr. Sea Slug when Space Matter
Yep.
Fighter X shows up. And my line of thinking at this point was like, oh, so maybe it was Icky's dad. Because, like, you saw him just a moment ago that he was, like, stampeding on an elephant trying to get here as fast as he could. Maybe he really was, not so far away. And maybe he got there as soon as he did. Well, Space Matter Fighter X
hmm
saves the day with his Metabot. And then they all escape. But then, as soon as they leave, not only do we see Metabee cry because you get to see him very emotional that his mom is
hmm
saved, quote unquote, um, but then a helicopter comes down and it's got Koji, Karen, and Icky's
Yep.
dad. I'm like, well,
hmm
there goes my theory. And then the end of the episode, it's Icky challenging Space Meta Fighter X to a battle. Even though Metabee is literally like on his last
hmm
leg, like he
At this
can't
point,
do
we're
shit.
kind of in the storyline for
So then we go
23, like, just to give an idea.
right. Yeah, and then it goes into the next one, Extreme Measures.
Oh yeah, X like the
Extreme
X
Measures.
Games because this was a '90s show. Damn it,
But also because
X.
Space Matter
Yeah,
Fighter
just
X.
layers.
Um, and so everybody who knows Icky shows up. They all decide to support him and Metabee, including the Screws, which was
Yeah.
surprising.
Oh, I do like
Um,
at one point Karen. She calls the fucking kid who's like obsessed with her, the little kid who's way too chipper. Who, yeah.
oh, Rentaro? I can't stand the look of him, dude. He does not. He
You know what
stands
I
out
like
way too
though?
much.
Karen is using her power for good, getting a simp to fight for her friend. She's using
Yeah.
manipulation. uh,
I mean, that's a Twitch. That's a whatever. But anyways, just kidding. So Yeah, I don't like Rintaro.
He
He's
is.
annoying as hell. Always has been as soon as he came in. And as soon as he got onto the screen, I'm like, he looks nothing like any of the other
Yeah.
characters. And if I have to deal with his
He
ugly ass again, then it's just
I
gonna
don't know
it's
how to
gonna be
put this other
hands.
than he kind of looks like he walked in from another anime where he is the main character, and you're like,
Yes,
why are you on screen with us? This isn't your show. That was an hour
dude.
ago.
So I once we get to a certain point in this episode, I'm gonna tell
Hmm.
you some stuff that I looked up. But he does look like, at least from other screenshots, he might be the main character
Oh
for the
Lord.
later seasons,
Oh
and
no.
that
Oh
bothers
no.
me.
We do time jump and he becomes main character. I'm sorry, Sean. I'm so sorry.
I'm
Oh,
hoping not.
I am
I am
very
hoping
sorry.
not. But based off of stuff that I've seen so far, that might be the case.
Oh no.
Um, but anyways, so everybody ends up
Hmm.
helping him out. They all like Rentaro, Koji. I don't think Kara
No,
does.
but
No, Spike. Spike ends up transferring all meta parts to him. That way they can have
mhm.
Metabee end up becoming like this malformed thing,
They,
but can
yeah,
that can
they give
actually
him, each
fight
of them
again.
gives him a part. He gets the
Um,
legs from Koji because they're really fast. He gets an arm from Cyandog because it's a gun. Then he gets, I think, yeah.
Crosser Dog.
Oh,
Get
I'm
his
sorry,
name right.
Crosser Dog. And then he gets, I think, the other arm from Rintaro because gun. And it's basically, a bee. And then I think Metabee keeps his chest and his head, and
Yep.
essentially, it's the power of friendship. Also, I just have to say I disagree with their characterization. They said that you win with heart, and I disagree. Robots win with parts, not heart, Mate. Step back down.
I have no response to that because from here's where it starts getting
Yeah.
lower.
Oh,
Um,
they also
so
Erica headbutts him in the fucking forehead. I love that part.
oh,
I
that was
love
the
that
best
part
part
so
of this
much.
moment because it looks like
Oh my god,
it's
it's
a
such a
fake
good
out.
fake
The
out. It's
entire
so
thing
good.
is it looks like she's going to
Or
kiss
confess,
Icky. Like
or
they straight up have her hold his head and like
mm-hmm.
she gets really close
And
and it
it's
looks
like
like she's gonna kiss him. Then she leans back and goes
mm,
wham.
she she gets real close. She starts talking all like soft, and like Icky starts getting really, really confused and flustered, and then she just yeets her head back and proceeds to conk that man the fuck out. And down goes Icky.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
uh but then that's when Metabee tries to go against
Arc Beetle?
I forgot the name of
Hmm.
the bot already. Arc Beetle. And he's like
Hmm.
landing every hit, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
when it
doing
goes a
any
little
damage.
bullshitty. He
Um,
literally lands like clean hits from everything, and Arc Beetle just stands there, and I'm like, all right, that's bullshit. You you can't
it's where
you
it
can't
lost
just
me because it's
have
like,
a robot that takes
like you
zero
said,
damage from like certain part. That's bullshit. That's not. That is like having a car with a top speed of 200 face a car whose top speed is 120. The 200 will win. It's
yeah,
unfair. That's why we have like weight classes for living things and, other stuff. Like, what are you doing?
yeah, and that's where it starts to lose me because I'm like, oh, this really is the power of friendship when he decides to show how much of a weak bot Metabee is because Icky has all the spirit, but Metabee doesn't because he ended up using his spirit
Yeah.
for his special
Yeah.
attack that
It
he did,
goes
and I'm like,
really like shonen fighting anime. And yeah, yeah, very literal.
like
Like,
it
I
went
get that the
literal.
metaphor kind of is like a weird spiritual thing, but they really like lean into it kind of out of nowhere where you're like, that was not the crux of this show at all. The show was like tactics and like paying attention to things and like figuring it out like a normal person, and now all of a sudden it's fighting spirit. What? 2 episodes ago it was just outsmart your
Right?
opponent, because you're playing basically a video game. What the hell is this fighting spirit? Also, yes, 100% literal. What? What?
You see, if this is something where it actually were to show up, I don't know, maybe
I,
26 episodes in rather than, I don't know,
excuse me, sir.
episode
Are you
16 or
insinuating
17.
something, sir?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe just don't fuck up with the
Right,
timeline.
right.
Um, but I digress. uh, but then we also get this really mean thing about Erica where apparently all the kids make fun of her
Yeah,
behind her
no, that was I
back.
wrote that down. I was like, what was it? We're going, and then just I think that was part of the last episode. Kids are fucking mean. Oh yeah, I just wrote poor Erica.
No,
Kids
it
are
was in this. It
rough
was in this
because they
episode.
just like lay into her. I was like, damn, calm down, guys. It's okay.
Yeah, because she's like, "What do you mean he can't do this? Blah 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 blah. Is it because you think he's not good enough because they're always talking behind his back? Because that's what they do to me. They're always talking behind my
Yeah,
back." And she starts crying. I'm
it
like,
just gets very
"Good
real
lord."
very quickly, and you're like, whoa, Erica's going through it. Okay.
And Space Fighter Fighter X is like,
He's kind of sitting there like,
and I think it's Icky's
ah.
mom who comes out. Was like, she's just a
Metafighter
child.
X is like, dude, I'm here to
I'm
like
like,
blow up robots. I don't feelings. What are feelings?
yeah. And this
Oh
is the
boy.
part where I got really mad. So out here, Sea
Hmm.
Slug shows up from Rubber Rebel Gang, and he decides that he wants to stop everything. He wants to attack and pretty much kill Icky
Yeah,
at this point because he's
essentially.
so mad. Like
Oh,
he
oh yeah,
straight
no,
up
they
sends his Medabots
they
to
try to
kill
attack
Icky.
him instead of Metabee. They just like, let's kill Icky. Time to die, kid. Oh man.
Yeah, and then Space
Hmm.
Meta Fighter X jumps in the way
Yep.
and gets knocked down. And the ref goes like, "Hey, what are you doing attacking this meta fighter?" And he goes like, "I wasn't trying to attack a meta fighter. I was trying to attack Icky." That is the meta fighter, you dolt.
Oh man.
But then they focus on meta fighter and his mask splits,
Oh, I
and
love
this is
this
where I
part.
got mad because I'm like, "Why is it as simple as it should have been?
Mhm.
I should have seen this. I was trying to play the
Oh.
thinking outside the box. It
Oh,
was
I
fucking
love it.
Phantom
It's a
Renegade
mask
under that
mask.
mask."
His mask for Space Metafighter X breaks and falls away, revealing Phantom Renegade's mask, which is nearly identical to Space Metafighter X's. Oh,
Which,
oh, it
to
is.
be fair,
I love
it's a
it.
funny joke, but I'm
Yeah,
mad at myself
you do
for
kind of
it.
only have yourself to blame for it.
Yeah, it's because I'm like,
Just you
maybe it's
really
not as
wanted
simple as it
like,
could be. You
where's
know,
our
like
Kurt Vonnegut? What's going on, man?
I
Like, come
wanted
on,
some
like give me
complexity
that
behind it.
twist. Give me the twist.
I did, I did, and then I'm like, God damn
Make
it, just
Icky's
fuck.
make Space Metafighter X Ash's father from Pokemon fallen through a portal. That's how he got here, and this show ends as a prequel to their universe. You wanted that, and you're just not going to get
Dude, that sounds
that.
so much better than what we got. But anyways, uh, so then after that, the boss from the Rubber Robo Gang is like, you know what? Fuck them kids. Fuck everybody. He's gonna drop a bomb, and it's the giant war
Oh yeah.
machine.
So
Um,
they drop a bigger version of the
and
forget what it was called, but they're big. No, it's
I
I
think it's
think
War
oh
Machine.
well it's just a giant version or a bigger version of that prototype Metabot they had that shot missiles and lasers. The thing that they had on top of the house when it was on fire and
Yep.
they were fighting, that was like 4 or 5 feet tall, about
Yep.
as tall as a human. This is like 20 feet tall. This is an actual like war
Yeah, this
machines.
thing's
This is
massive.
bigger. It's like as big as a tank. This thing is dangerous, yet still a Metabot.
And everybody decides to evacuate except Icky
Hmm.
and Space Meta Fighter X. They're all deciding that they're going to go ahead and try to take on War Machine. And then Koji shows up with his no, his car shows up. The referee's already hiding in the car, and then Koji's like, "Okay, we can all get in. Karen, go ahead and get in the front. All you freeloaders, get in the
Yeah,
back."
uh, he's a bit biased. I would call it simping,
Yeah.
but they've known each
Uh.
other since they were kids, and she's also 100% oblivious to him. Like she has no idea. So it's not really simping. Koji is just unrequited best friend from childhood. Hmm.
At this point, yeah. Uh, but then Koji ends up coming back, and then they all try to take on the War Machine. But Phantom Renegade, because he's no longer Space Meta Fighter
he's
X, his
he's just Phantom
persona is
Renegade now,
gone.
which I think
Uh,
makes him an actual criminal. I'm pretty
yep.
sure would disqualify him from representing the country in a worldwide tournament, but apparently not.
I wonder if
Oh,
Sheamus has anything
I'm
with
waiting for
Space
that
Meta
next
Fighter
episode.
X.
They
But
are just
anyways,
blue balling us. Hashtag needs more Seamus.
oh, uh, so then this was actually kind of cool. Uh, Arc Beetle launches itself over at War Machine, and then Phantom Renegade launches himself at War Machine, and like tries to do the whole thing of like I'm gonna stick my hand in the electrical panel and it's gonna look really awful and it's gonna hurt a
Hmm.
lot, but I'm gonna take out its coin and then it's gonna blow up and I'm gonna be
Hmm.
launched into the sea. Credits. But is it credits?
Hmm.
No, because something else happens.
I'm gonna
What
be
happens,
honest. I'm a
Will?
little fuzzy at that about that moment.
Me too, because I don't remember exactly how it happens,
Oh,
but
yeah.
Metabee gets
Well, okay. I
stolen.
think we're describing the last 30 seconds of the episode too, which is why it's fuzzy because it's an unfinished plot. Also,
Yeah,
again, these three episodes all run together as one long plot. They don't finish, so my brain is just in the middle of the story still. Like, where are we going with this? What's happening? I'm waiting for it to be done, and I think the
right.
incomplete
Yeah.
nature of it makes it a little fuzzy. So it's a little hard for me to kind of get there. But a couple things about this episode I did like.
Yeah.
I liked that 24 showed off the connection between the characters. Like they do know each other and care about each other. Like it actually kind of makes you feel that a little more. 24. Well, we were on
You mean the next
24 at that
episode?
point. 23 ends with.
No, we
Oh
were on
yeah,
23.
yeah. Okay. God, these episodes. I I can't
Bitch,
I
you were
can't
trying to
get these
jump ahead.
episodes wrapped around. It's just they're so just make it a fucking movie at that point. Like they are not written to be broken into pieces. These are written as one story, and somebody keeps slapping the book out of your hand while you're reading, and then taking the book away, and then you have to go get it. That's how this feels. They're abrupt. They don't work well. Like these were not written as good cliffhangers. They just stop.
They were
Aye.
not. They
So,
definitely were not.
anyways,
Oh
I
my
like
god,
this
they were
Phantom
not.
Renegade is fucking dead. He is. They really make it look like he gone. So we'll see.
So, before we go into the next episode, I looked up Phantom Renegade, aka Space Meta Fighter
Henry.
X, aka Henry.
Oh boy.
Did you know
Uh,
that Henry, before they even
oh.
made the Medabots anime, that Henry was the main character of the
Oh, what the
Medabots
fuck?
games?
Whoa, wait. You're telling me this anime
Yeah.
comes after the games? This is a sequel? Holy
Yep.
shit.
I
So hold
found that
on.
out
When they
today.
said this kid and they show clearly an outline of Henry, they're basically just alluding to the actual real world video games that like had Henry as a main character, and they're essentially nodding to the real ones, the fans who really know in the audience. They're nodding to them and going, you know, when they first showed him on screen. God damn, dude.
Yep.
Wait, does that mean Phantom Renegade has an origin in that? Holy shit.
So
Oh
interesting
no.
thing you say that. Hang on, let me pull it up. 1 second here,
Oh, I don't know
because I
any
thought
of
it was
this. You
very
are
interesting how,
completely
like,
giving me new info, and I love this. This is fantastic. This is why we're watching a show that's 30 years old, so I
all
can
right,
learn things
so
I didn't know.
the Phantom Renegade is an alter ego assumed by Henry Agata in the games. He is first seen using the identity in Medabots 2. to support Ikki Tenryo. Henry's friend, Kilala, uses a similarly named disguise named Phantom Lady. In the anime,
Makes
he
sense.
uses this disguise to steal rare metals for Dr. Aki to prevent an event. I'm not going to say anything because that might be something that might be a spoiler for us. In the Japan only games Medarot DS and Medarot Duel, Ikki assumes this persona in Henry's place.
When?
That's
Oh
all it
my
says in the
god.
Japan only games
No
Medarot
way.
DS and Medarot
So they,
Duel.
and this is one of those where the anime and the games are different,
Yeah.
a la Pokemon and Digimon. They're not the same. They are, you can
Mm-mm.
clearly see their source being the same, like they come from the same well, but these are very different things from the same place. Dude, that's really fucking cool. Too bad they never brought those games over here, so we have no idea what the fuck that is. Oh boy, and you can't play them because they're probably Japan only and filled with a billion things of text. Yay. Ah,
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did with one of the characters from Digimon. Fuck, what was his name?
the guy from season
Oh God, it's
is it the
not
guy from
Liz. I
season
think his name
3
is
who
Leo.
almost feels like he has an entire other anime that you
Yeah,
don't see, and he just like shows up 3 times, and you're like, this dude's
yeah,
living an entire life here. Does Are we not going to talk about it?
yeah. The guy with the Cyberdramon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy
Yeah,
with the
that dude.
Cyberdramon. Yeah, him. So he is from a series of video games and
Light
uh
novels.
visual
Oh,
not
damn,
visual
radio
novels,
dramas?
radio dramas, I think,
Holy shit,
and
there's a
light
whole bunch of stuff
novels.
about him then.
Yeah, he's basically from a bunch of different things that are, yeah, and he wasn't made like part of anime. Like he was actually brought into the different anime canon, but only through like what they basically had like as side story to almost be like fucking fan canon at that point. But then they decided to
Wow.
officially make him canon in season 3.
He's there as a nod, but he's that's why he
Wild,
doesn't
right?
do a whole lot. He's purely there for people who really like the character to be like, we get you like him, so we're gonna put him in the anime so you get to see him on screen, and so you get to essentially write your own side stories where no, he is this universe. He's around these characters at this time. It also leaves it open in case they wanted to do tie-in stuff where they write more things about him later, since he was that popular they could do more with him by tying him into the show. Damn, that's fucking cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
you kind of feel that with him
So
because he's just there and he clearly has massive adventures without the main characters. We just don't talk about them. And it's just like, okay, why?
so I'm looking up Henry
Hmm.
now just to see what else that he has. His original Japanese name is Hikaru Agata, also
Hmm.
nicknamed Henry outside of Japan. He is a prominent character from the Medabots franchise. He was the main character of the original Medarot video game and has
No
had many
way.
roles in
That's so
most
cool.
Medabots media. He is in all Medarot games: Medarot 1, 2, 3, 4, R, Navi, G, Dual, S, and the
He's
anime
a permanent
and the
fixture. He's
manga.
like Ash.
Um,
Well, actually, he's like Red, if I'm being honest.
yeah.
He's basically Red. He's
Looking
always there,
here.
except he actually shows up in
Uh,
every game.
it says here, despite. Oh yeah, because apparently he has a
Hmm.
counterpart in the second game too, called Gamma, which is weird. Um, but he says, despite their popularity, Hikaru had no interest in Metabots as a child. When he was 8 years old, he ended up involved with Metabots when his dog Bonaparte was found with a Kabuto medal, a Kuwagata
Hmm.
medal in the Kuwagata version in the local park. Very Pokemon like. Following this, Hikaru's
Hmm.
father gave him a Kabuto Metabot type, a metal beetle with head scissors in the Kuwagata version, as his first Metabot, and he was introduced to row battling by his childhood friend Kilala. Hikaru quickly became a skilled meta rotter, but I'm assuming that means row battler. and defeated several opponents, becoming the highest ranking Medaraider in Japan and participating in a worldwide tournament. He also fought against the Robo Robo Gang several times and helped put a stop to the event that would have been known as the 10 Days of Darkness. Depending on the player's choices, he would either end up with Kilala, Nae, or alone with a chick from the chick seller.
Huh. There were romance options.
Oh, that's
What?
funny.
Take that, BioWare.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. Um, Medabots 2, which is also Medabots in the GBA, which I think is the one
The
that
first
we
one we got?
got. Um, 7 years after the first game, yeah. 7 years after the first game, Henry had become a high school student and worked part time at as a store clerk at a convenience store
Yep,
frequented
that's
by
the anime.
Ikki Tenryo. Under Dr. Aki's request, Henry convinced Ikki to buy the parts for a Medabi Rokusho model Medabot similar to the one he once owned so he could become a meta fighter. In exchange for the money Ikki's mother had given to buy a retort curry, he then uses the Phantom Renegade persona to give a Kabuto Kuwagata medal to Ikki's father, who gives it to his son. Slightly different from the anime, but makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, Medabots 3, he only appears as an ordinary convenience store clerk and was not involved in the main story. He was available to be battled in the Meta Link, where he used 3
But
Pi.
one of the
I don't know what
things
that
is
is, but
probably
I'm
super
assuming that's
strong.
a different type of Metabot. In 4, he had minor appearances. In R, a member of the Rubber Robo Gang insisted on having Hikaru buy a Metarot in the convenience store, but he refused. The Rubber Robo Gang then challenged Ikki to a row battle, but Ikki could not accept as his Metarot was lacking a medal. Hikaru appears in disguise as Phantom Renegade and lends him a Kabuto medal. Impressed with Ikki winning his first row battle, Phantom Renegade allows him to keep the medal. I'm assuming R means that
Probably
it's
like
a
Metabot reboot,
Metabot remake.
Renabot remake, that sort
Um,
of thing. Redo, rewind, that's something like that.
yeah. Uh, yeah. Metabot Navi, he was one of the characters from previous games that appeared after the game was completed. He had the original version of Metabi or Rakusho as his partner, depending on the game's version. As Phantom Renegade, he had Arc Beetle. As Metabot G, he appeared as Phantom Renegade, having Arc Beetle as his main Metabot, and Metabi with the arms from other Metabots. Metabot Duel, he appeared in one of the DLC missions. His Metabot was Arc Beetle. Metabot S, Unlimited Nova, he appeared in the retelling of Medabots 2, which was based on the game's Kabuto version. He also appeared as Metabotter Metarauder Equipments.
Some sort of buff
Interesting.
thing probably in the game where you
Um,
could equip it as a passive.
yeah, so Henry's a huge fixture that came from the games before we even got the anime. Didn't know that. So, had no
Yeah,
idea.
and you
Had
wanna
no
you want to
idea.
help enlighten the audience as to why we are basically wandering in the dark about this? Yep, pretty much. This
This
show
isn't.
came out, did 3 seasons in America, disappeared. They released like 3 games. The ones where Ikki's the main character, and then like 1 or 2 after that, nothing else. And the entire series basically exists purely in Japan, with none of the other stuff coming over. Nothing recent, no plans to even like remotely localize anything. I think there's a mobile game that at this point came out, was popular, and is already gone that they never did internationally. They've locked Metabots down, not as heavily as Digimon, though Digimon for many years shared a similar fate. A lot came out here, but even more came out there. Although if I'm going to draw that line, for every 2 Gundam games in America, there's like 2,000 in Japan, but that's a whole other thing. With Metabots, it's kind of unique where 90% of the entire franchise is Japan exclusive, never released. I don't even know if they've fan translated these things, the games, the books, the anything. I don't know if there's other anime that we just never got, or if the show never quite hit that level, so they haven't bothered with another anime. Um, but it's purely Japanese. They do not put Metabots outside. look up Medarot, where you just replace the B with an R, and that'll show you all the stuff in Japan. You can look up on the wikis and all that, and it's fans getting into this stuff, looking it up on their own, and that's it. They just do not push this franchise in America. I think I know why, because it's expensive, and whatever company owns it is not Sunrise Bandai, so they probably don't have the money for it, I would assume. Yep. Yeah, Viz doesn't have the.
So it was Viz
I
Media.
don't think they want to do it. I don't think they see the potential, and honestly, as much as we like it, I agree.
No.
The market in America, I think, is too clogged right now, and just it's not going to open up to really catch Metabots. I don't think that'll work. I mean, Little Battler's experience, I was surprised that any of that came over. I watched it in Japanese only. I didn't even know it made it to America until years later, and in a clearance bin, I found the 3DS game, the very first one, which was all they ever released, even though that kept going too. I didn't expect that to happen, and that was essentially an experiment. That came, went, gone. So it's one of those things. Stuff like that happens a lot more in Japan, so you might get like fan subs. You might get stuff like that, but games are a huge undertaking still. Although, as much as I hate it, the advent of AI will make it a lot easier because it'll be people editing after one or two passes with a really good quality AI, which they don't have yet. So be prepared for janky translations. One or two passes, you have a couple of editors read the entire script for everything, make sure that it makes some sense, and then tweak here and there, and it'll be a good product. That'll help make it a lot easier and a lot less labor intensive and prohibitively expensive for companies to translate their games into other languages. So that's a good thing about AI, only because those companies are being cheap. I mean, depending on
Yeah.
the company, they have the money.
So I just wanted to do a quick
Hmm.
highlight on the games that have been released in America.
Hmm.
You've got the original Game Boy Medabots game, which was Medabots Metabee and Medabots Rakusho. Um, then you've got Medabots AX and Medabots, which is Medabots
Were
AX
so those were
Metabee and
both
Medabots AX
all four of those
Rakusho,
games were
also for
Game
Game
Boy like
Boy.
Color?
Um,
All four of those are Game Boy Advance?
oh no, Game Boy
Okay.
Advance. My bad. Yeah. And then the last
Oh
one was
wow, I didn't even
Medabots
know that came
Infinity,
out.
which was for
Damn, I
GameCube.
probably would have liked it. I mean, hella.
So, um, we don't support piracy here, but if anything, if you have any kind of way to support your video games because you can no longer purchase them, by
Yeah,
all means,
yeah.
do
It's
what you can
essentially
to
just
preserve your
become a
games.
fight. Companies sometimes aren't even the ones. Well, many times as you go farther back, aren't even the ones who originally made these things. Those companies are long gone. Sometimes even the publishers don't exist, and they last longer than the developer.
Mm-hmm.
And so whoever owns the rights might not be doing anything with it. They might not be able to do anything because licensing is a fantastically, terribly, horribly inefficient thing. So you could have the rights to one part of a 9-part story, which then results in none of the story coming out because you have to come to an agreement or like convince the holders of other pieces, and it just becomes a whole thing. So if you're very interested in Metabots, if you really want to know, I would look up because there are some people who will do Let's Plays of those few games that came out here, and then from there try to look up people who've done playthroughs of imports, people who've imported the titles. There's got to be some like obscure retro gaming YouTubers who really go in on like an entire franchise and will spend way more money than I'm comfortable with to like get them over on original hardware and actually play through them. And a lot of times, if they're that dedicated, they will also be familiar with Japanese, be familiar with some of the history behind it. They will do a little digging. I've learned more about some very, very obscure Japan only titles that are not translated, and it's really nice learning about them. Granted, it's like, 30 minutes to an hour, maybe more, which is nothing compared to actually playing the game. But this is compared to before, where I was at zero. I didn't know the game existed, and I don't know Japanese. So unless I learn an entire other language to read and speak, I just, it's not going to happen. So,
Right. In the
okay.
meantime, I think we should get to this final episode before we wrap things up. So, do you remember what
Um,
happened in this episode 24?
I'm going to be totally honest. It had run together so hard. My notes on this episode are kind of general conclusion notes for this trio of episodes. As far as play by play, blow by blow, I'm blanking a little bit, so jog my memory, sir. Hmm.
All right, so since I just watched it, it's basically Icky and his friends going to search for Metabee
Hmm.
because the Rubber Robo Gang ended up stealing it. The four main Rubber Robo
Hmm.
Gang members, which are Shrimp Lips, Tuna Head, Sea Slug, and Gill
Yep.
Girl, they have been disowned, so they are no longer part of the gang. They're on the run. Everybody's trying to find Metabee, and my biggest gripe with this is as soon as they manage to get to the bases to where Metabee is
Hmm.
being held, because they are still trying to extract the rare metal, Metabee simply can't just
Well,
use his
is the
watch to
metal? The
transport
metal
it.
is still in Metabee. Sorry. It's
Fuck,
stupid,
you're
but that's
right.
actually a legit rule they came up with. You can teleport
God damn
the
it.
body. The metal is unique. You have to have it, and that becomes a locator. It's because they were talking through the watch to
I
him,
completely
and
forgot.
generally
God
they
damn it.
only do that when the metal's in the watch. But apparently you can treat the watch like a walkie-talkie and talk to
Yeah.
the robot long distance. Hey, look, I didn't say the rules were good
Fuck this
or
show and
that
its
they stuck
goddamn
to them like they're
rules.
supposed to, because again, they essentially have known criminals participating in their tournaments. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah.
Nope. And they don't care that they commit
They
crimes, and
which they don't
sometimes the
seem to
main character
care.
fights them, and those
Um
are quote unquote official matches. What? Ooh, which one?
you know who else commits crimes apparently?
Hold on. Which one
Karen.
was this?
She goes like, "Oh my god, I'm really good at trying to find people. Every time I do hide and seek, I like to go on my satellite and use my cell phone for ping, and then I can go and check to see where people are."
Ooh boy. I
Like,
mean,
you are
hey,
a
when your
hide and
superpower
seek
is
cheating
money,
bitch.
she'd get a fist bump from Bruce Wayne and Batman. They'd be like, "You do you."
I guess that's just not right.
I know. Uh,
That is just not right.
she is an innocent
Go her
soul.
though, because
She
I
just
you
she
know
just wants
what?
everyone to be
More
happy and
power
treat
to
each
her.
other nicely and just doesn't understand why people can't just be nice to each other. It's not cheating.
Except
She
when
just
she
has
wants to
better
cheat.
resources than you.
Oh, whatever. Um, some
Hmm.
things about this episode. I mean,
It's
I
just
didn't like this
there.
episode as a whole because I felt like it was pointless. Um, yeah, I mean, it's
Well,
not
it's
even that it's
because
filler
they're
because
they're
it
chasing down an
definitely felt like
objective.
it for the
They
most part.
don't get to it, if I
Um,
remember right. It ends before they fulfill their objective and goes cliffhanger. And you're like, "Oh, so
correct.
okay. Well, that's frustrating."
Yeah, but then they also like you
Hmm.
start getting like a little bit more like character background information. Um, Shrimp Lips wears a diaper because he's I can't tell if
Yeah,
he's
he also
either
has
a
a
man
pacifier at
baby
all
or if he's
times
an
and
actual
is like
baby.
1 foot tall. Like he's shorter than Metabee, who is canonically like 2 feet tall, and shorter than Icky. Like Shrimplips is tiny.
Yeah. And at one point there's a moment
Hmm.
where they all like have to scatter, and they think that both Icky and Koji think that they managed to take
Yeah,
Karen's
I
hand,
didn't
but they
realize
end up
Samantha
both
was
having
so
Samantha's hand from
just
the
had the
screws.
hots for Koji. I did not realize that until this episode. She really, really does. Yep. It's just to mess with
Which
them.
I
It's
bet you
the
anything is
boys
just
and
going to be a
girls,
gag
ew,
just for this
icky,
episode
like,
only. I
yeah,
guarantee it.
nasty. It's that whole thing, because I remember elementary school. I was 7.
Right. But the thing that bothered me was Shrimplimps' response to that was he went, you know, I'm not so sure how to feel about
Yeah,
this,
there are
but
some,
I want to
oh,
keep
there are some
watching.
out-of-pocket lines in this show where you're just like,
And I'm like,
you remember these are like 9-year-olds, right? Right, writers? You remember that they're like 9?
yeah,
Because they say,
yeah. And so that's why I'm like,
like,
are you an actual baby
uh-huh.
or are
Well,
you a
that's
man
like
baby?
when
Because
in
I'm
an
not so
earlier
sure
episode,
anymore.
fucking Metabee made a really adult joke about Icky and I think the lady who has the hots for Tuna Head, who is an adult. And I'm like, okay, I get that it's
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
that, where it's like, okay, I get it, out of
Why don't you go
pocket,
ask her
ha
out?
ha, but like you're tossing adult out of pocket humor into a show where the characters are aged down even farther than your average anime. And it just is weird because like they don't not only is it out of pocket, it just nothing comes of it. Like it's not based on anything. It's just like you felt like you needed to fill 2 seconds. So you just throw in this completely throwaway haha, I'm funny, right? I'm funny, right? If you say a
Mm-hmm.
hundred jokes, 4 of them will land. Kind of feels like the writing sometimes in this show, where they're like, if we just keep talking, we'll say something funny. That's not how that always works.
Yeah,
No, it's just
like,
weird and awkward
nah,
and
it
uncomfortable
just wasn't
sometimes,
right.
where you're like, that's it. That's weird.
So the episode is at the end. It's basically the four main rubber robos. They end up helping Icky and the screws help Icky to a point
Hmm.
get to uh, where Metabee is being held. Then they all leave, and then
Hmm.
Rokusho shows up to save the day because they're about ready to get their asses handed to them by another,
Was it
sentry type
Belzelga again?
Metabot that's
I remember
overly powered at
Belzelga's
this point.
showing up.
And then it goes to credits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
it's
just
that one.
stops.
Yeah, there's like three of them. Um, it just is like,
Uh-huh.
is Icky gonna survive? Find out next time. Like,
That was why I
I don't
legitimately
want to.
asked you,
I'll do
like,
it next week.
maybe we should just keep watching to like the end of the, because they're pretty clearly building to like something, and then once we crest that, we're done. But
I get that they are,
hmm,
once you have it to where an episode is annoying me, for like that
hmm,
one was because it felt like it was an empty episode just to do that. At that point, I no longer have respect for that
hmm,
episode, so I am content with us just doing our three. Like I would consider doing more,
just mad.
but no,
Show's making you
fuck you,
very upset.
Medabots.
Not a fan.
All right, all right,
Ameribots,
not
how dare
Medabots. Fuck you, American Medabots. There you go. Ameribots, Medabots. Fuck you. But anyways, yeah, that's this week's episode, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. You got a little bit of video this time around if you managed to watch this YouTube version. Um, and if not, well, shame on you. I hope you do. We could use the views.
you?
I love you all. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We'll see.
Yeah, always do.
But Will, did you have a good time this evening? As did I. Well, sir, I will bid you adieu. And ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to
And
Big
everybody.
Mecha. Have a good night.